Well, the Defense Department regrets to inform you that cyberspace has been canceled due to coronavirus.
Dink Donk. Oh, what a brave new world this is. Okay, so there's a new name, Dink Donk. Story behind that a little bit. It's actually just a funny sound. You probably already heard it. If you don't know what it's from, stand by. I'm retiring the old cyberspace name due to its attachment to a character I play, so we can kind of move on and unify everything under that one branding I have. And you know what? Coronavirus served as an amusing segue for that, so sorry for anybody I scared. For this episode, we're going to talk about how everything seems to be freaking canceled. Oh boy. Starting with the ESA officially announced the end of E3 2020. They say it's due to COVID-19, which, like everything else is, probably is. We know there's some other influences behind it, though. There's a lot of key journalists who aren't attending. Host Jeff Keighley is not attending. We all heard about that one by now. We know Sony wasn't going to be there. Yeah, I think I would say might be safe to say that E3 is going to go the way of the dinosaur. It's kind of an outdated concept. It's just not something that really needs to be around much anymore. And then moving on to Doom Eternal. We are a week away from Doom Eternal. Oh fucking god, I'm like chomping at the bit for this game. Is anybody else ready for that? I don't think Google Stadia is, because they claimed it was going to be 4K on Stadia. But it isn't. They're not going to learn. And it's been said by other YouTubers long ago that this was not quite ready for prime time, but they're still pushing this thing like it is. And you can't even get a Doom game in 4K on Stadia. Well, thank the Slayer I'm getting it on Steam, right? So we're 1 week from Raising Hell. Hopefully I can actually start streaming that. This week also started a new Destiny season, Season of the Worthy, also Season 10, is live in Destiny 2, and it brings back Trials of Osiris. It was a much beloved super sweaty PvP activity from Destiny 1. The best of the best, or the worst of the worst, depending on who you're asking, show up there. I'm probably going to try my hand at it myself with what time I got this weekend, and see how I fare, because some of the loot is amazing in that. And this weekend will make or break the future, because the limits of Bungie's new anti-cheat system, as well as their ability to rebalance the PvP game, will be tested quite thoroughly. But there is a new open world activity in this season called the Seraph Towers, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, so you're building up these bunkers to bolster the war mine to basically a combat AI sort of thing, like a predictive algorithm type AI. So this, we're bolstering the Warmind Rasputin's defenses against interstellar threats. It's pretty awesome. It's a high stakes race against time with frenetic gameplay. Some pretty familiar motifs if you played Black Armory and did a lot of the Forge activations for that. Because you're throwing the little sphere around and trying to get things moving, so these towers will activate and bolster up defenses. So it's pretty cool. You can summon these little mechs and stuff. You can call the javelin to throw at enemies, or you can just keep building it up faster. Whatever you want to do, and you upgrade it over time. There's one on our Earth right now. There's a couple others on other planets and moons. So we'll be bolstering these bunkers up over time, and that's how this season's going to grow. And it's going to be kind of cool to see how this kind of how this all kind of ends up. I will say the biggest flaw with this season, though, is the lack of pinnacle or ritual weapons from our playlist hosts, like the Drifter for Gambit, Shax for the Crucible, Commander Zavala for the Vanguard, so on and so forth. We've always had some kind of seasonal weapon that's unique to each playlist, and there isn't really one this season except for Iron Banner. There's a new bow, which isn't really affected. It's a weapon archetype. Bows in general, they're not affected by the season's artifact mod, so there's no unstoppable shot, there's no anti-barrier ranger or anything like that. So that's a pretty flawed design approach there, Bungo. But other than that, the season is pretty cool, and there's still a lot of stuff to see featured as the weeks march on. And there's a lot of classic loot thrown back into the mix, especially for the season. And there's some faction rally gear that's long been missed by the community. So if there's been some armor sets, like the Dead Armor one that I love for Titans, that you haven't ever had a chance to finish, well, now you can. And so it's pretty good. And there's some faction rally weapons that have made a comeback. I'm personally chasing Dire Promise, which is a 150 rate, 150 fire rate per minute hand cannon. It's pretty consistent. It's got a lot of rolls on it, so I'll see what I can stick on those drops and see if I can find one that I really like. And some good news, we talk about monetization and shit like that on this channel a lot, so some good news for people who may have been holding out because they might have been worried about the monetization model of Destiny. The slot machine mechanic of buying engrams from the Eververse store has been completely retired, and now you get those engrams instead from gameplay. And you spend your money now on actual cosmetics you can see. If you see it and you pay for it, you get it. It's no more, I'm going to pay 800 silver for a string of 5 or whatever engrams and hope that I get something I've never had before. That's a great move by Bungie, and it eschews the current monetization models that you see in other looter shooters. So that was a great move. I hope to see them do more of that in the future. Let's move on to my streaming. Yes, I know my streaming's been largely non-existent. So either a swift kick in my ass or a forced quarantine by COVID will result in some stream time sooner or later, which is good because, you know, I've really sucked at keeping what few viewers I have in the loop on that this year. So I'll need to get a few streams in before April, and anticipated that month to change shifts at work, excuse me. So YouTube content will receive an uptick during that time though, and there'll be some gameplay montages of what I'm playing. Just try and get some stuff in there for Brother Hal to chomp on. Make sure you have your snacks, by the way, bro. And I want to try and get some Star Trek Online in there because I know that's been popular in the past, and apparently more people wanted to see that than I thought. So I'm gonna try and squeeze some of that in there here in the very near future. So if I'm not a fucking zombie when I get home from work Tuesday night, I will try to get some Star Trek Online in there, and then maybe some Destiny 2 on Thursday next week. So stay tuned as always. Appreciate any support y'all can give. Drop a like, drop a sub. So support me on Patreon if you can. That's going to help me improve my gear. I'm trying to get a stream card so I can get around some of the frame rate issues that I have capturing gameplay on some games. So as always, appreciate it. See y'all next time. Outlaw Lotus signing out. Keep quick drawing and slack John.